We are back on MorningLine. Thanks for joining us this morning, talking Paychecks for Patriots. The number 737-7587. Are you looking for a job? Are you a veteran or a family member of a veteran? This is your chance to possibly find some new employment if you're working. If you want to do something more with us this morning, General Max Hastings with us. We also have Bob Ravener, that's it, I'm sorry, with Dollar General, and Commissioner Burns Phillips, Tennessee Workforce and Development, Labor and Workforce. All right. The events are going to be at 4 different locations on October 18th. Here in the Nashville area, it's going to be Bridgestone Arena from 10 to 2 o'clock. What do we need to know about that in terms of, what, are you talking free Preds tickets? Because really, you know, come on.
Yeah, well, first of all, the parking is free.
Okay,
course.
yeah.
There will be 50 pair tickets given away.
50 pair of Predators tickets just to folks that show up.
Right. And
that's great.
the way you get those, you just go to the Predators table. First come, first serve. Exactly.
Great.
Well, I just lost my train of thought.
Well, yeah, just, okay, first come, first serve for that. It doesn't cost anything to get into
and it doesn't cost the employers anything as well.
Why do you mention that? I think most people at a lot of job fairs, and we're calling this a hiring fair, but employers sometimes pay to get to these events because it's a commodity for them to be access to good employees, right?
Well, that's true, and of course I came from the business world where we attended a lot of these type of things, and it can cost anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000 to have a booth at one of these events.
And the incentive for you to pay that to go to that is what?
Exposure to your customer, and in this case the customer is the prospective employee.
Because it's crucial to you to get the best employees you can possibly get.
That's right.
That really is, I didn't even know employers paid to go to these things. And so they were not paying at this. As far as the folks that want to go find the jobs, what do they wear their uniforms? What do you suggest they wear? What do you want to see them wear? I mean, you want them to look professional, but what should you wear when you show up to this? I guess to everyone who shows, they're going to know that you're either a veteran or you are a family member of a veteran.
Absolutely.
What do you bring? What do you want to see? What do you want to see, Bob?
So I think the old adage that first impressions are everything. I think anybody that's seriously interested in getting hired ought to be dressed for success and looking for that opportunity to impress those companies that are interested in hiring you. Okay. And so look your best.
Basic. That's the same thing as you would for any job.
That's right.
Show up. And then resume with you. And again,
multiple copies.
Multiple copies of the resume. And just emphasize again, this is not a job fair. This is a hiring fair. So if you show up, you're going to have, you very likely will be hired that day. How many folks have showed up, like for instance, at the Nashville location last year? Do you remember? Just as you looked, was it crowded? Was it crowded?
Oh yeah, we had over 300 or 400.
At least 300 or 400 people showing up, and many that day were hired. You got new jobs.
They had, and every company's different. They all go through different processes to get it to its final stage. But the criteria to be an employer there is that you've got to have real open jobs that you are looking for the right candidate to hire. Not staffing agencies, not other service industries that are looking to try to get more customers.
So they're looking. Is what they're,
and if they don't hire on the spot, a lot of times they'll set up an appointment for an interview.
Okay, right. So again, I don't know if you have specific names of some of the employers just off the top of your head. I assume Dollar General going to have a booth there, of course. And are there other names? If not, just again, if you would, Burns, maybe recapping the types of skilled jobs they'll be looking for.
Right. I mean, in the general areas.
General areas, if you don't have specific names,
healthcare, retail, construction, of course, hospitality, information technology, and transportation.
Okay.
Because
truck drivers, like you were saying.
Truck drivers, and in Tennessee, there's a huge demand for truck drivers.
Absolutely.
And we cannot get enough truck drivers.
So some of the specific companies that's going to be there, of course, Dollar General, HCA, Corrections Corporation of America, Nissan, Community Health Systems, Medtronics, Averitt Express, FedEx, Tennessee Department of Transportation will be there. That's just some of the big hitters.
Your career military, right?
Yes, sir.
So how many years? What are you about? Are you 38, 39?
I'm on my 38th year of doing this.
I was going to ask you, of all the years as you go through this, have you seen some of the changes? Can you think of any instances, maybe of late, since this started, where you've gotten to know some individuals that maybe were going through a tough time when they came back, and then because going through Paychecks for Patriots, able to land on their feet? I mean, share an anecdote or something.
Well, as I mentioned to you, back in 2005 was when Tennessee, we had half the Tennessee National Guard literally deployed.
Right, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, a ton of folks, and so we had folks coming back about 18 months after they deployed, and we had a lot of young people that had just, I mean, literally gone through what we call split option training, where they did basic training between their junior and senior year in high school.
Okay.
Then they came out of, graduated from high school, went to advanced individual training, and then went back to their unit and immediately deployed. And so then they were gone for 18 months. So essentially, you've got 3 years and some change of their life is gone. They have zero experience. I mean, they may have worked at, a part-time job while they were in high school or on the family farm or something of that nature, but they had zero work experience. So those young folks came out, and I know several that went to Paychecks for Patriots, got a job. Both of these guys that I'm specifically talking about were truck drivers, and one of them today has elevated past being a truck driver, and now he is a manager, dispatcher, triage guy that is a supervisor.
Okay.
Just simply for the fact that he went to work for a company that had the capability of promoting him. These young folks would have never had that opportunity.
No, because think about it. Now, they're getting an education through the military,
Yes,
but if they were right out of high school, then some of them may have thought, well, if I wasn't in this, I might have gone on to college.
Right.
But they didn't get the opportunity to do that. Now, some of them could have come back afterward, right, and gone to college.
And they did.
Yeah.
Because we had the post 9/11 GI Bill,
right,
which they not only could use themselves, but if they did not want to do that, they could, I use the word bequeath that benefit to a family member, their wife, their kids, grandkids, and have gone on to college. And some of them, a lot of them did that. A lot of them did that. But even when they get out of college, you walk in. If you graduate a university today, they will have hiring fairs like this. I mean, you don't graduate and here's a job.
No.
There is, you have to have that opportunity. You have to have that availability of somebody to go in and say, hey, I'm going to use your skills. Now you've got an individual has a military background. They have a deployment experience, and let me tell you that deployment gives you an experience. And then you have someone with a higher education, and then you take them and then you give them that opportunity for a job. You've got a very well-rounded employee.
Yeah.
I would tell you too that flexibility for the individual is going to be key. I counsel a lot of those getting out of the military, and they talk about what level they need to go in at, or what pay range. And I would just tell you out of personal experience, when I left active duty after almost 6 years, I had to start back where people 6 years my junior were. And that was okay to me. Had my ego gotten in the way, pride gotten in the way, I might still be looking for a job.
Right.
And the reason I mention that is it's not about where you start, it's about where you finish. And once they get into an organization, their skills and experiences will show that they can shine. And I think it's important for them to realize it's about first getting the foot in the door, learning the trade that they're in, and then those experiences will take over and they'll be able to really do what they're after long term.
All right, so you're executive vice president of a multi-million-dollar company. Billion-dollar company. Right, billion-dollar company. Multi-billion. So now you went into the military for 6 years of service?
Yes, I was.
Right out of school, or what did?
I went to the Naval Academy and then spent almost 6 years of active duty and then a couple of years in the reserves.
Officer?
I was.
Yeah, because you went to the Naval Academy and then so you're an officer, and then you got out. And you started, because of that, even with all that experience and what you went through, as you said, you had to start a little bit lower on the chain. At Dollar General, is that what you did?
No, I started at Pepsi.
At Pepsi, okay. And how, I'm just curious. I'm fascinated by the process and how the skills that you got from the military helped you climb the ladder to where you are now.
Well, as we've all talked about and all have experienced, the discipline, the training, all those core attributes that really get ingrained in you in the military really become part of your habits and your lifestyle over the long term. And so the first impression being getting out of the military and going to work, you're showing up to work early, you're working late, You're taking on more than you're being asked to do. You're working really well within a team. You've now taken those leadership experiences that you've been given, and you learn how to influence others around you. So all of these key attributes that I really picked up. I credit the military for giving me a start in life.
Okay, and did you notice the distinct advantage that you might have had over some of the others that hadn't gone through what you did when you were working your way up the ladder? Well, just because of your background. I'm talking about others that weren't in the military.
It makes you grow up fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you get, as I mentioned before, you are in your young 20s getting leadership experience, responsibility for millions of dollars of equipment, safety and security of those around you. So you gain a lot of these experiences through necessity, and those that have been in combat through even greater situations that they have to come back and they're able to apply those in real day situations.
Commissioner, when you've been on before, we've talked about, these days education, it's like you always need more to compete to some degree. Not every job needs that. But what it seems to me, especially if you're someone like in his situation, where if you actually get that education, but you already have the military, that's the extra thing that makes you stand out.
It is, and today, the journey from education to employment is no longer linear.
Yeah.
Because in the world today, with the way things are changing, with the rapid expansion of technology, somebody will be hired, and they're still expected to be a lifelong learner, and there are a lot of opportunities for that. Somebody that's been in the military is very flexible, very agile. They solve problems, which is a huge demand, a skill that is in huge demand by employers. So I think that even as a learner, the military people come into a position, and because they are trained to take the initiative, it doesn't make any difference whether you're at the top of the rank or at the very lowest. Our military is taught to pick up the ball and run with it if the guy in front of you drops it. And that's very important to an employer. They want somebody that's going to bring value by being able to identify opportunities in addition to solving problems. And that's something that I think military it really drills into you.
All right, it's interesting because I want to get a handle on this, just so I'm clear from the perspective of the employer, that we're talking here, we're saying a lot of nice things about these soldiers that are out now, right? Okay, and all these characteristics. So we don't have to sell them as we are right now, talking about all the good attributes. The bottom line is these prospective employees are sought after. So is this a core group? These people are going to show up at this hiring fair. That's what all these employers really want. I mean, we're not just saying that trying to push it. Sometimes, this is legit. These are the ones that they're a commodity that employers want right now, for real. Meaning, this is a pool when they say, wait a second, you're going to have a bunch of service members there? Oh, we want to be there. Is that for real?
That's really how this all started.
Okay,
we saw a need on the military side.
But employers wanted them. They're seeking them out.
And you have employers that are looking for talent.
Yeah.
And so we thought that the best way to do that was to mirror the two together. Keep in mind, too, and I remember distinctly the first conversation I had with General Hasten about this, that at the time, and it's still pretty significant, almost half of the active duty military was in the Guard and Reserve. So these are not just people like me that got out of the military and became a veteran. You still have citizen soldiers, so to speak, who have day jobs, and they are helping protect and support this country through their Guard and Reserve duty. And so we started this because we knew that there was great talent in the military who needed access to good jobs, and we had employers who had needs for talent, and we put the two together.
And they want them. All right, we'll take a break on that note. Back with our final segment. We'll remind you again about where this is happening and how you can get involved if you want right after this. Stay with us.